Okay.
Hello.
Peace and love.
I'm Mr. Real Life Johnson with the Commissioner, Dr. T. We have some amazing
Right.
guests today. We're going to have an amazing discussion with the Nuriddins about relationships and communication. And so we are excited that they are blessing us with their presence on today. So we'll jump right into it because
we got to roll, and because we started last week, we did a man-to-man segment, and where we talked about the communication and relationship with men and how we need to interact. And man, Suleiman, you went into some great aspects of it, but we know that we had to have both of y'all on, Myra and you, because you all represent the cream of the crop.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. It's very
kind. Well, thank
you.
It's
and how things work.
Yeah. I want to say that it's awesome to be back again together with the two of you.
Yeah, thank you.
I recall the last time we met, we did have an exciting time together, and I'm looking forward to our time today too.
For sure.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes. Oh, we are excited. So we want you to remind our viewers a little bit about who you are, the both of you, and the work that you do. And then we want to jump right in after your intro. We want to jump right into what are the essential pieces for a good relationship or a successful relationship. What are keys to a successful relationship? We're thinking specifically couples, but it could be more broad. But it just seems like couples are struggling nowadays with communication, sometimes with intimacy, physical things, money or whatever, but just the baseline really. What are some keys to communicate to a
some
relationship?
People need that reset.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't talk about this enough in the age and the area that we in. They talk about the age of disruption, but they don't mean when you say disruption, you talking about disrupting everything. It's not just the economics and all those. It could be relationships, but please tell us more. I want our audience to know how dynamic you all are, and then touch on what Dr. T talked about.
Okay. So you want me to start?
You got it?
Okay. So just a little bit about us.
Yes.
Myra and I have been a couple for 34 years. We've been married 32 years. It is a second marriage for both of us. And we have been doing this work together since 2002. We've been trained and certified in the field of imago therapy. Our education and background has been an educator, a counselor, a therapist, and we've worked not only just with couples, but also individuals and groups doing workshops and trainings and that kind of thing. We have been blessed with a passion. And that passion is to sit in the room with a couple and work with them and be present with them and see the light bulb go off and see something happen. And I tell you, it's just such a personal, how can I say, great experience for me. And I think for us to see them connect in this kind of thing. I think we were designed to be in relationships. We weren't meant to be alone. We were meant to be together so that we might grow and learn more about each other. The challenge sometimes is that while we had our parents and other people in our life did the best they could around us with what they had, we didn't necessarily get the best models, if you will, about what it looks like to be a man and woman or a couple in a relationship, what it means to be in a marriage, what it does it mean to be in a committed experience with each other. So we go after it based on a lot of things that we've seen in media, listening to music, readings, that kind of thing. But in real life, we haven't had a lot of good models.
And this is not parent bashing because, again, to repeat what you said, it was not parent bashing at all because they did what they knew.
Yeah.
So, and oftentimes we still have longings or wounding, and we take that into a relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that more and more, it's not just the married couples, it's people seeking to be in a relationship. It's really difficult right now because I'm seeing so many women, and I say women because I do talk with a lot of women who want a mate, wanting to be married, but with the social media and all, a lot of times the guys are people get on there and looking for sex, and it's not. I mean, it doesn't matter even what age, even like the younger girl ladies. It's the pickings of people. It's really bad.
Wow.
Yeah. You hear that, but it I think we probably don't know the gravity of it, right? Because like you, we've been in a relationship over 30 years, so it's second nature to us. But it just makes me more grateful, right? That I have a mate, you know what I mean? And we're on this journey together. But that's so important because while we started going in the direction of couples, that's pretty important because you said there are people who want to be in a relationship. I think the human connection is challenged at these points because I'm finding even in the workplace, just the baseline of communication is heightened, right? You can say something and your intent is strictly you're just trying to be direct and get a point across, but someone's taking it back as if you were coming at them a wrong way. So it is, I don't know, is it post COVID? Is it just the compression of time? What do the two of you think it is?
Or have relationships or starting a relationship evolved? Is it the same? Does it change?
Well, I think that's a great question, Larry. In terms of have it evolved, does it change? In this country that we live in, relationships are based on romantic love. Okay, what happens? You look across the room, you see this fine sister, and you say, "Oh my God, boy, she's looking great. She's looking good. Look at how she's moving through the room. She's got that smile on. Everybody's recognizing her." You get attracted to someone. She looks over and said, "Look at that handsome brother over there. Look at that swag. Look at ooh." So we get called into that, and then we start having conversations. It grows. So it's romantic love that starts us here. Okay, and we get so caught up in it.
And I think what happens is a lot of people don't really realize there's stages of relationships. Romantic love is the first stage.
Yeah.
It's the glue that cements commitment.
Good.
But it's going to change. And lots of people are like, well, what happened? As the song goes, he doesn't give me flowers anymore. The brain gets revved up when you're in that state of romantic love. So you're thinking, wow, it's very euphoric.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's a good word. It's
very euphoric.
And I like that when you talk about stages because I don't think people like to go straight to the touchdown. You don't want to run. You got to run a couple yards here, first down, pass, run, and then you get to the finish line. What type of stages are there to this?
Let me say, Larry, the finish line is way away.
Mhm.
You see, when we think we're gonna get there in three or four downs. It ain't like that, brother. That finish line is something that we will be working on for a long time.
It takes work.
It takes.
Yeah, it's true. Say that again, Miss Myra. Say it again.
To get to
Yeah.
the real love stage.
Yeah. I think we don't realize that when another human being comes into your life in a romantic way and you decide to get married or to go this partnership, your life changes, right? Because all that you are, somebody else is bringing all that they are to the relationship. There has to be adjustments. And I'm looking back I was kind of selfish. I wasn't really thinking. I was thinking about myself, but wasn't thinking about that he had just, we both had to adapt. And I think people don't understand there's adaptation on both sides of the relationship.
And I think also what people don't understand is that you at that stage you're bringing your best to the relationship.
Right.
As you say, you're meeting the representative.
Yeah.
Everybody got their best.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And so you might see some things, but again, the sky is blue, the grass is greener. And so you're really not. It's just a beautiful stage.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And we get so captivated in that stage that we don't think beyond the moment. I don't see nothing wrong. Everything is good. You know what I mean? And so we deal with that. However, romantic love does end.
Yeah.
Okay. And it goes anywhere from
6 months to 2 years.
Yeah.
It depends on how often you're seeing the person. Maybe the person travels a lot, or you. Sometimes people are living in different states. I mean, just depends on how often you're coming together. And actually, what we teach couples about the brain when your brain is revved up, and they've done studies where it shows that when you're in romantic love, your brain is revved up, and so again, it's very euphoric. But at some point, your brain can't stay up there. It's going to come down. Things are going to get normal, and what you admired in the romantic stage can work your nerves. Once the brain come down, you're like, oh, what you perceived uh, that you like. I thought, oh, this guy right here, he's so peaceful and so I like that, you know. So once we get going in this relationship, I'm like, oh, the plumber didn't do such a well, peace and love. I'll have like what, you know. I need you to talk to this guy. So you know, and then also I'm a very neat person. And so what he admired, you know, boy, this woman is real neat and everything. Then he looks around, he's like, she's obsessive. We begin to see differently once that brain comes down, you know, and also in the romantic phase, the bars of your defenses are down, wide open. Okay? But when that phase wanes, the bars come back up.
Yeah.
Now there's when those differences show up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you didn't see.
How has social media and its emergence impacted it? Because I think we mentioned that briefly in the opening, how women are seeking men, but the pickings are slim. But doesn't all these, I hear about all these apps and catfishing and all different types of things. People represent themselves one way and they're not that way. Fake like this, and then they find something different. How does that come into play?
Yeah, I was just talking to a single friend of mine recently, and uh, just what you're saying. Guy seems like a nice guy. They're doing really well. Then all he begins to do is talk about sex. You know, and she's not. That's not what she's looking for. I mean, you know, that's part of a relationship, but we just getting to know each other. You know, so
Front, that's crazy.
yeah, it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because oftentimes people are coming on these sites not really looking for a committed relationship. And I think a lot of women, mostly, not every woman, but a lot of women are looking, well, I'll meet a guy, and it does happen for some people.
Yeah.
You meet somebody and it works. You know, unlike in our 30 years ago, it was just different. We didn't have all this, you know, you just met, it was just different.
Mm.
And we want to think about that too. We want to
Yeah,
think
right.
about
Exactly.
how do you think, like you talked about the stages of relationship. So once you go through that romantic phase, what's next? What's next after that?
So what we know about the romantic stage is that in the process of being together, differences begin to show up. And when these differences show up, sometimes those differences lead to disconnects. Okay? And there's a disagreement, there's a challenge, there's something that happens in the relationship, and all of a sudden we find ourselves defending ourselves. Okay?
Those bars are up now. Remember, the bars have
You
come
see?
up.
And so something is said, and we're processing what was said in a way that I feel like I got to have an answer here or something. So what happens is that something gets lost in the process. And what we've learned is that in a relationship, the first thing that goes is our ability to talk to each other.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now, when we're talking, we're using a raised voice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
Or I'm using words that sound like I'm speaking in tongue or something because of the language I'm using, okay? Or I'm name calling or putting down or criticizing or belittling the other.
Or I shut down.
Or I shut down and don't say anything.
Even in my silence, I'm sending you a message.
Exactly.
Yes. And because women and men are different, they may not get it. You know, they may not get it. But you both being, you know, therapists and trained in different types of therapies, how do people get to you, right? Because in our community, and I'm speaking broadly, it's kind of taboo to go to therapy still, right? How can we help people get over that hurdle that when they're really in the space, like if you want to work and make this work, we might need to go to therapy. What kind of guidance can we to let people know you might need to go to therapy, and it's nothing wrong, and you don't have to wait till it gets really bad. You know what I mean? recognize some things? Because I know some couples that just do check-ins.
Yes.
I think that uh, I'm noticing that the churches are beginning to. I know a couple of churches are saying therapy. Sometimes you just need therapy. We got the Lord, we got the Bible.
And they can't handle it.
We need some therapy. We need something to go with that. That's our
Yeah.
foundation.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
need to sit down and be able to talk and communicate what's going on, because oftentimes we begin to tell our stories about our partner. We begin to tell ourselves stories about our partner because we're not communicating with them.
Sure.
Okay. I'm finding that it's getting more for us. We speak in the churches, and we clients call us from the pastors are open now. Uh, and we just had a couple the other day from a church that we spoke at. So people are, I would like to say people are beginning to be more open than they were.
I think we're moving away from the age of individualism to an age of community.
Okay.
And what's happening is more and more communities are involved. Because like just, you think about a wedding and all the people that you invite to a wedding. Well, there's a purpose for those people who are at that wedding or a celebration or whatever it is. There's a purpose. They're not there just to partake of the drama and the experience and the excitement and the food and all that kind of stuff. They're there for a reason, and they're support. It's your community that you invited to be present in this ceremony, so that that community has a responsibility. How am I checking in and saying, how is Suleiman and Myra doing? How are things working for them? And then, is it okay to call and reach out to someone? And I'll say to you, Dr. T, that I think that when it comes to the draggies and the draggers, it's the men that's the draggee.
Right.
Okay? The women are usually the draggers. And we have a lot of history around masculinity that gets in the way of us recognizing that I don't have all the answers.
Right.
I'm not able to fix everything. There are things that I'm not able to provide for, and I'm not as powerful, as potent as I think I am. So how then do we create spaces for men to know that it's safe to be with someone else and to talk with a third person and share what's going on in your world and know that it's okay? Because we see it a sign of weakness. I should be able to handle my business. Don't take anything out of this house. You don't air your dirty laundry in the street. What goes on in this house stays in this house. So we grew up with that kind of vibration.
Right.
So how do we begin to change that scenario? How do we begin to show up different?
Right.
And I say to couples that somebody is always watching you. Somebody, and nobody's coming up all the time asking questions, but they're paying attention.
Right.
So how do we show up as a couple in the world? How are we demonstrating and modeling what it is to be in a relationship and what that looks like? So we all have a responsibility in this community to grow what we want and make it better.
I love that. What about, especially, that's a good transition to, or segue to, during the recent election, we just saw a certain group, kind of men, right, being attacked on both sides, right, for what they thought, how they might go in terms of the election and that type of thing, to versus what the reality was. And it wasn't a lot of support. It was all geared toward maybe Black women, but Black men weren't, held up high in these elections, but their vote is just as important. Post-election, how do we really support our Black men? Because everybody's like, the first this, the first that. But the Black men have always been significant in our community, along with the Black female. So I think in our community, we have a responsibility to truly lift up our brothers and hold them up, fathers, individuals, business owners, and things like that. And so I would like to hear some thoughts around, how do you think we could truly support our Black men, right, in this particular time in the United States? I would love to hear some around that.
Well, it's a great question. And I believe that we are wanting support. Okay. Again, I come back to the place of how do we ask for it, though? So let's take a place that brothers show up at and there's always conversation, a barbershop. Okay. You can go into a barber shop and brothers are talking. They're laughing, they're talking, they're connecting with each other. What are they laughing and talking about, though? Sport and play. You see? So you have a community right there. How does that conversation change? Do I go into a barber shop and I see the sport and play happening? Do I become involved in that? Do I look for an opportunity to shift it a little bit and see if we can bring something else in? And what that experience might be. You see, again, it comes back to the role that each one of us play in the community.
Mhm.
And how do we begin to show up and be the example different? You know, and come in and they're talking about the sport, tie in with the sports vibration, and then say, well, I think about the brother, you were talking about the quarterback and what happened. I wonder what it's like for him when he gets home. Who does he talk to when he's realizing that he didn't throw that pass the way it should have been done? He didn't lather off the way it should have been done. Who does he talk to? Who does he connect with? You ever think about what he carries within him? And what is his way of releasing and letting go of that? Begin to create a conversation that shifts things, and so that men can say, wow, feelings. What would he be feeling? Well, he's angry. He's enraged. I said, okay, anger, rage, those are big words. As men, that's what we've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the hurt, the pain, the fear, the uncertainty, the inadequacies? What about those things? Do we talk about that? And you'll get a quietness all of a sudden in the barbershop because everybody's stopping and thinking. Oh, we don't do that. We don't do. Of course you don't. And that's why I say to men, there is so much more to us in terms of being able to experience our full humanity. Because we've been stripped, if you will, of our emotional selves. We hide it, we hold it within, which brings about, in my mind, a lot of the disease that we as men experience.
And I think it's because men have been taught not to show that kind of emotions
Exactly.
and that kind of need. I hear people in the family saying, "Don't cry, suck it up. You shouldn't be crying. Don't cry like a girl."
Yeah.
They
have tear ducts too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Why can't he cry? So, but also like in our work that we do, people come, they do pay to see us reasonably, I think. But we also say to, Suleiman may say to the guy, "No, give me a call. Give me a call." Something comes up, you walk. We don't charge for that phone call. Give me a call. Let me support you through this. Just on one Sunday we had. So I said, let me support you through this because a lot of times men they haven't had that father, that male, male or wise man to bounce off of. So we offer that to our clients. Or I'll say to the young lady, "Give me a call. We can talk woman to woman. And then, apart from the counseling, but Suleiman offers it, and a lot of the men do call, and I think he's done a great job of that.
Well, thank you.
Being able to talk to them and minister, if you will.
Yeah. I believe that just one last piece to that too is that I believe what's different for Myra and I is that a couple comes, they get both of us.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's not a male or a female, they get both of us. And it creates a level of safety, I believe, for couples. That they're in there and they're not feeling one-sided or another. And we bounce things off of each other. Myra will see something, she'll say, "Hold up, Suleiman, let's just stay here a little bit longer."
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And we work it together. And they get to see us interacting with each other and displaying and showing and exhibiting the kind of things that we think are healthy for a relationship.
And I think I see men kind of hungry for that. They're hungry to have, if they haven't had a father figure in their life or someone to counsel them or to talk with them, there's a need for that. Then they don't know how to communicate. So we teach. Our biggest thing that we do with couples and singles is to teach them communication. And with the singles, we teach them, why am I picking this person? This kind of. Once we get their family history, we can help them figure out why are you choosing this kind of guy? Because oftentimes you're going to choose someone who has aspects, both
Mhm.
positive and negative, of whoever raised you. Be grandpa, aunt, uncle, grandpa. There's going to be something in there that you're not conscious of. That's why I'm teaching around you don't do it consciously. You don't say, "Oh, here's daddy or here's mama." It's unconscious. Unconscious that would happen. So we do a lot of teaching about the brain and how the brain works. And once they can really get their mind wrapped around that, they can see things. Why am I attracted to this kind of person? And it's not always negative, but it's just to know.
You know,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I think that's so important. And this is Women's History Month,
Mhm.
Myra. So I want you to tell us about, how do you communicate? What style? How should you start off a conversation or relationship with a woman? Because you saying like you said earlier, you got some issues where people want to go straight. Men want to go straight to sex, but it may not be that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, what we do is what I see is that if you're able to, what we do, how I communicate with Suleiman is because we've done this work a long time and it's helped us so much. It really has blessed our relationship that I can ask for a dialogue. That if there's something that um, uh, that's on my mind, I mean, I can ask for a dialogue. I know that as long as we dialogue with one person listening and one person speaking, one person repeating back what you're hearing, we can talk about anything. Because it's not a I say A, you say B, you say C, I say D, because no one's listening when you do that.
The greatest gift I think we can give each other in a relationship is the gift of listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean listening to
Respond.
respond.
Mm.
I don't mean listening to defend. I don't mean listening to interrupt or listening to get a point across. I mean genuine listening to let your beloved know that I hear what you're saying, that what you're saying is important to me. I value it. I'm not putting my twist on it. I'm not
Paraphrasing.
paraphrasing or doing anything like that. I am letting you know exactly what I heard you say. And not only do I do that, I'll check in and say, did I get it right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I'll put some icing on the cake. Is there more?
Yes, that's
That's good.
You
wonderful.
see what I'm saying? When we can create a space where each person feels safe enough to share what they're experiencing, what they're thinking, and not so much to get an agreement. Forget agreements. Move to understanding.
That's it.
Understanding is the greatest thing. And how do we get to understanding? Through curiosity. You see? And I tell you, one of the things that I've learned is that in seeking understanding, we give value to the other person. Okay? Because if I don't understand, and this is sort of heavy, if I don't understand, the other person will be perceived as less than. Think about that. You see, if I don't understand a person, there's a perception that they're less than who I am. They're either foolish, they're crazy, they're stupid, they're just dumb. I don't know what the heck.
How could you think that way?
You see? And if we do that because we're in our own head and not seeking the understanding of the other person. You see, you probably heard me say this before, Dr. T, that if nobody's in the box for Suleiman, Suleiman will have an argument with Suleiman and Suleiman will win. I'm happy as I can be. You put Myra in that box, though, all of a sudden everything changes because you have a different personality, a different view, a different way of seeing the world, a different vibration. And what all of that is true for Myra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not to say, well, how do you believe that? That don't make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's hers.
That's right.
It
That's
makes
right.
all the sense in the world.
That's right.
Well, it don't line up with mine, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see? So all of a sudden we have two positives in the box. And you know there's conflict. You know, it's been said that whenever there's a deep emotional connection with another person, when you fall madly, deeply in love with someone, it's a setup for conflict.
That's deep.
Now think about that. It's a setup for conflict because that's where growth is going to happen. You see, the differences, the challenges, the disruptions, the disconnects that show up in a relationship are opportunities. Not to divorce, not to separate, not to go to your world and I go to mine. It's an opportunity to grow. So how do we embrace those moments? And that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Ever since we've been able to dialogue, you know, there's
I'm going to close the blind.
yeah.
Excuse me.
There's,
Just for a second.
there's power. I mean, everyone wants to be heard. Even if you're on the job and someone says something and you repeat back what they're saying, and then you're like, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is, they're like, okay, all right, you know, it brings it down,
Right.
and you can create an understanding from that. So, I mean, I do that on my business calls. So what I'm hearing you say is, so you're saying, did I get that right? You know, but in a relationship or any kind of relationship, like Suleiman said, it's to be heard and to listen is the greatest respect. To be able to listen, and to calm yourself enough to reach the whole. In other words, to be able to communicate constructively as opposed to the destructive way that we can.
Yeah,
I love it.
that's so good. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, you guys are amazing. Oh my Lord, we got to bring y'all
When
back.
we do it, I mean,
Yeah.
we've been married, we've been together. You know, we're serious senior citizens now, so we still have things that differences we have to talk about. And again, Suleiman will ask me for a dialogue, and you know, he'll request it, and I'll grant it, or he'll grant it when. But it is a request because you don't want to. He may be busy. Well, as long as if I ask and he says this isn't a good time, it's up to him to tell me when is a good time, and not more than the best of all things is to grant it right away. But if you can't, let's say you're on a call, you're working on a paper, just tell me when. Then it's his responsibility or my responsibility to come to say, okay, I'm ready now to hear. Yeah. And the whole thing about dialoguing is it's when the word dialogue says it's important and that person wants my full attention. And it's just communication and speaking the truth from a I feel, I see, I think. Because the moment you start saying, well, you know, the bars on the fence is going to go up.
That's
it's
right.
just natural. They're going to go up.
That's right.
You learn how to speak from an I feel, I see it place.
I feel, I see.
Better.
Yeah, I love that we remove from debate to dialogue, and we want communication. We want clear communication. This has been so rich. You both are amazing.
I knew it would be. You all. Now we want to give people just a taste because we're going to have you all back because we got to do a part 2 because I want to go deeper into the steps, the stages, because we're talking about couples, but I want to talk about how do you get there, and that's why. But this one was key because we want to talk about building and maintaining a relationship, real life, and so that's why it was important for you all to be here just to set the tone for us. Can you tell people how to reach out to you and check in and find you?
Yes. They can call us or email us.
You can give that information. Sure.
Okay. I want to think I gave that to you all, but let me just give it to you again. Our number is 404-202-1487. Our email address is peaceandlove@mindspring.com, all spelled out lowercase letters.
The A&D, peace and love at mindspring.com. And my number is 404-376-3689.
Beautiful.
Awesome. We love it.
Thank you so much for your time
so
and being a part of Real Life with Dr. T and Commissioner Johnson. And you all have heard it first, building and maintaining relationships with the Nuriddins. and they're
Yes.
making a difference.
Mhm.
They got breakthroughs. They got great testimonies.
Yes.
This is a couple who now transcends all generations, and who you can see just rewards.
Right.
And so you got a few of the nuggets today.
Mhm.
And I want you to call and email and just connect with us, because the goal is to build better relationships.
Mhm.
One of the things real life is about: inspiring, empowering, and educating.
Mhm.
And so please continue to check in, and we want to make a difference. So thank you all, good people.
Thank
You're
you.
so
Peace and
welcome. We
love.
look forward to coming back.
And
Yes.
thank you for inviting us. Okay.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having us. We love you
Thank you
guys.
all. Love
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace and love. Bye bye.